Right, so what I'm going to start off by doing is giving you some oversight from Michael Edwards and what this role of football CEO is going to entail. And let's hear from the man himself. So I'm going to read you through a quote from Michael Edwards speaking about his return to Liverpool, his return to the FSG fold, and of course his aims and what is on his inbox or in his in tray as he joins. So he said, with Liverpool, I will oversee the required reinforcement of football operations with a number of essential leadership positions needing urgent attention. I know from personal experience what a wonderful job Mike Gordon has done with the day-to-day oversight on behalf of his fellow owners. Going forward, I'm looking forward to working with FSG's board of managers. Also, in assuming this role, I fully understand, and this is an important part, I fully understand that it comes with great expectations and I therefore intend to identify, hire and subsequently empower leaders who meet and embody the club's value and ambitions. Having served the club previously, I need no reminder of how much emotional investment is made by the supporters in the city itself as well as across the UK and the world. I'm looking forward to getting started. So there you go, Michael Edwards ready to get stuck in. Hey Craig, I'm not an FSG fan, but they usually get these decisions right, and they did again. Much more confident about the coming years with Edwards back, said Boxed Will. Thank you, Will. I would put myself in a similar category to yourself, Will. Wouldn't be their biggest fan by any stretch, but like you, I always believed that they get these appointments right. There are certain things FSG do unquestionably do well, and appointments and getting the right people in the roles, I've got to say, over the years, I have to give them the credit on that one. And I did even say last week, I expect them to get the right people in. I did have belief in them in that, Will. So much like you, mate, yes, fair play to them. They did get the right people in. We'll talk about Edwards a little bit, or not Edwards, Hughes a little bit, and what exactly he's going to do, who he is, what his background is, and we'll look into that in a moment. Just to confirm, Richard Hughes will not be joining Liverpool Football Club until this summer. So right now, it's Michael Edwards. He's going to start putting the structure in place. Richard Hughes will join in the summer. Richard Hughes, for a minute, folks, if I may. So, The Echo have done a pretty good piece with a couple of questions that are pretty pertinent. One of them, who is Richard Hughes? Because that's what a lot of people are going to be asking. Richard Hughes grew up in Milan, played briefly for Atalanta between 92 and 93. He then spent 5 years at Arsenal's academy before joining Bournemouth at the age of 19. He made over 170 appearances for Bournemouth and represented Scotland at international level. The former midfielder eventually hung up his boots in 2014 following spells at Portsmouth and Grimsby Town. He went on to join Bournemouth's technical team when Eddie Howe was their manager. There's a piece that's entitled Transfer Dealings at Bournemouth. Hughes has helped transform Bournemouth since his arrival. He brought in Tyrone Mings, Callum Wilson and Nathan Ake before moving them on for a tidy profit. He was instrumental in hiring Adoni Iriola as Gary O'Neill's successor, as well as bringing in players like Dominic Solanke, Lloyd Kelly, Alex Scott. He also helped get the loan move for Nat Phillips, as well as giving preference between the transfer dealings of the club. Sorry, I was distracting myself for a second. It's also been claimed that Hughes is known to be a friend and close associate of Liverpool's former sporting director Michael Edwards, and his recruitment philosophy. This is interesting because this gives us an insight into him and his dealings. Speaking about the role previously, he said, the thing about recruitment, you're dealing with humans and human performance, so all you can do is to be as knowledgeable as possible, have as much information as possible, and hope that you make more good decisions than bad. Here, character and attitude is such an important aspect of the players. That means finding information about a player beyond what you can see in the 90 minutes is more important. It's not a science, because in very few cases you can answer exactly what a player is going to be like under a manager at a club at any given time, as well as all the circumstances that affect the happiness, mood and performances of a player. They're all things that are, to an extent, are not in your control, but you have to have as much information as possible when you make that signing, and hopefully, as we've gone on and got more experience in this side of things, we're able to do a better job than when we started. Fairly straightforward stuff. So, just to confirm again, Michael Edwards confirmed today, released a statement, CEO of Football Operations. That is what has been put out by FSG, and we welcome him back. So, some of Michael Edwards' famous successes. He convinced Liverpool of Andy Robertson's potential when he was at Hull to become one of the best left backs in the world before we paid that £8.5 million. He inserted a clause into the Coutinho deal to Barca that would mean Barca had to pay a £100 million premium on any player from Liverpool they wanted to sign over the next 2 years. Worried about Real Madrid coming for Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah and Bobby Firmino, he tied all three down to new contracts without release clauses, and he refused to budge when Emre Can asked for a release clause in his contract renewal with Liverpool. These are all things listed under Michael Edwards' positive achievements. Right, so Melissa Reddy, she said, Michael Edwards confirmed as FSG's CEO of football, will succeed Mike Gordon as the decision maker on all football matters. Remit includes helping to identify and subsequently manage a second club to attract global talent. Will resign from Ludonautica on June 1st. So there we go. Important here, he's not just coming in to Liverpool, he's coming in of FSG's CEO of football. Michael Edwards, speaking about it, said, one of the biggest factors of my decision is the commitment to acquire and oversee an additional club. So as you can see, that is clearly something that has attracted him to the role here. Fabrizio Romano has tweeted to say Richard Hughes was already an agreement in place to join Liverpool and it'll happen at the end of the season. After an excellent job at Bournemouth, with CEO Neil Blake, he's going to leave at the end of the campaign to sign for Liverpool. He's part of Michael Edwards' plan. Again, I'm just looking through all the notes on Edwards here just to make sure I haven't missed anything really obvious for you guys. Little bit on Manchester United, by the way, just while we're talking about football and financing and stuff. Mark Ogden of ESPN, and I believe covering the Manchester beat as well, said, Man United net debt of £773 million is a ridiculous figure. Also shows where the 1.2 billion, where the 1.2 billion Ineos money went and where it didn't. And the club are investigating public funding for a new stadium, ... I've got to say, I have a lot of time for Mark Ogden. I think he's a great journalist. Very much enjoy watching him in the evenings on Sky, sometimes on there. Miguel Delaney, another one. And it is incredible to think that Manchester United, valued at what they are, as big as they are, still have a debt of £750 million, even after that 1.2 billion investment into the club by Jim Ratcliffe. So, I don't know, did that money go straight into the Glazers' back pockets? Certainly seems like it. Doesn't look like it's paid down too much of that debt. Would you rather have Leverkusen lost the Europa League game when came back from 2-0 down? Fair play, Craig. You called it with Hughes. Thank you, Jamie. Look, I made a promise to myself at the start of this campaign that I'm not going to go down the ITK route anymore because it leads to too much division. Because not everything will always be right because football moves fast. So what I've decided is I'm just going to tell you my opinion on things. Even if it is opinion that's based off information that we've gained behind the scenes, I'm going to stick to the words opinion. And yes, I had a very strong opinion on the Richard Hughes appointment because I had pretty strong information on it. But ultimately, all that matters is that the job is his and that Michael Edwards is coming back in. And I'm very happy about those appointments.